between the blinds before the ground could hit my feet. You're coming home, thou frozen peak. A rush, it'll flash by with a hope we still have time. But my heart drops and we arrive. A linen sheet lay on your eyes. The words just slip away. I never got to say. Goodbye, must I try to live on without you? Around a year-long sun, who could know it'd be your last one? A hallway, a hug, good night, they still linger in my mind. I told you every day, said all I had to say. Goodbye, must I try to live on without you? Without you. Here in a sterile room, with every breath I'm losing you. Falling over on your chest, I feel the weight of what's ahead. Oh, tears run down my face with every word I say. What will I do without you? What will
2, 3, 4.
近いよ。近い。
When the world's got me untied, oh, 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 and as bad as can be, oh, 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 I got your love up my sleeve.
Oh, 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 when everything's backwards. Oh, 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 and it's getting to me. Oh, 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 I've got your love up my sleeve. Ain't no whiskey'll ever get me warm like the touch of your hand.
There ain't no pair of heels gonna make me feel as good as my man can. Oh, 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 when I'm headed the wrong way. Oh, 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 down a one-way street. Oh, 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 I've got your love up my sleeve.
Oh, 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 at the edge of a breakdown. Oh, 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 when I just wanna scream. Oh, 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 I got your love up my sleeve. I confess you put on your little black dress. Yeah, you start a fire.
Yeah, you and me got chemistry like two birds on a wire. Wah, I got your love up my sleeve. I got your love up my sleeve.
I got your love up my sleeve.